going to be talking about resumes. And Vanessa is the perfect person to be discussing this with all of you all. So um, let me give a quick introduction to Vanessa. Vanessa has worked for global advertising. Sorry, I have too many things on my screen. Now I can see it. Worked for global advertising agencies for 20 plus years in various different locations: Australia, Amsterdam, NYC, and Middle East. Has been a senior recruiter for more than 8 years, focused within creatives, and has been a coach for Outbound Initiative for over 5 years. So I'm going to pause here, Vanessa. I'm going to let you do the proper introduction. I think probably a lot more that you can fill in here. And tell people like why are you the right person to be talking about this today? Because I definitely think you are. But let's tell everybody else on the call.
Fantastic. Thanks for the introduction, Ben. Yeah, so I have worked for global advertising agencies all around the world for big brands like Audi, Middle East, Emirates Airlines, Mitsubishi Motors, the list goes on and on. And after my career in advertising, then I started as a creative recruiter, which made perfect sense because I had been in the creative industry myself. So I knew what clients were looking for. So over the past 8 years, I have placed thousands of creative talent in different roles. I do specialize in creative, so that's creative design. It could be UX, UI, digital, graphic design, but also in the management of design. So production managers, creative services managers, etc., etc. Over the past 5 years, I have coached hundreds of graduates from all over the world. So with Artbound, I specialize in mock interviews, CV reviews, and folio reviews. So yeah, I absolutely love it. I love following the careers of people that I have coached into the creative world. So it's something that I really enjoy. Oh, you're on mute, Ben.
Just realized as I was talking, it popped up a
Yeah.
notification. I was gonna say let's dive into it. We're gonna talk about resumes for about 20 minutes here. I'm gonna give a little spiel about Outbound Initiative as I always do, and then we're gonna spend the rest of the session on questions. So as Vanessa is going through her slides and talking about resumes, please, as you're thinking about different questions that come up and you're like, huh, I wonder this, I wonder that, like, don't be shy, put it in the chat. It makes for a great conversation and for a great session. So, any questions, please put them in the chat as they come up. Cool, let's go for it.
Thanks,
Um,
Ben.
yeah,
Okay, great. Let's talk about the resume in today's world. It's really, you'll be using your resume to apply for jobs, and that can be either through application platforms like LinkedIn or Seek or Monster or whatever it is from around the world, because there's so many different websites and platforms. And also you'll be using it to submit to applications for jobs on on companies' websites. You'll also be able to use your CV to apply for jobs directly via email, so to companies, human resources, and hiring managers. Um, who will be reading your resume? And again, in today's world, it may not be a human that reads it first. It will actually be AI or an ATS, which is an applicant tracking system. This is super important knowing this moving forward with everything that I'm going to discuss because it's really important to use clear and simple formatting, which we will go into later, to incorporate relevant keywords and also to avoid complex designs, tables, or scanned documents. Yeah. Um, so we'll go into all of that in the following pages, but also there will be humans at some stage during the process that will be reading your CV and that or your resume, and that will be hiring managers and HR managers. The hiring managers could be creative directors, they could be marketing managers, they could be client services directors. So this is the world in which we live in today, and that's what I'm going to explain in all the pages moving forward. Thanks, Ben. Yeah, great. So overall, what should your resume look like? Please, please, please make it just black and white. I know coming from the creative industry and path that you've had, you want it to look fantastic and colorful and really stand out. But in today's world, we really need to make it black and white. Yeah. You can show your creativity in your folio or in other ways, but with the resume, it really has to be black and white and crystal clear. At this stage in your career path, your resume should only be 1 to 2 pages. And what should be on that? Contact details, education, work and volunteer experience, and your skills. Yeah. So we're going to go into each of those headings so I can show you exactly what to write or showcase under all those headings. So what must you have in your resume? Let's get on to those points there. Contact details. Really, really simple. Your name, your location. The location in this day, in an age, is super important. I see so many resumes that I don't even know where in the world that they're located. And especially with Outbound, you are looking to potentially meet with companies that are located outside from where you are. Or you could be working with coaches like myself that are in different parts of the globe to where you're located. So location is very important. I've got email, phone number, portfolio, and LinkedIn there. You can see here that they are all hyperlinks. That's also super important because once the person that you get to sees this link, then they can just quickly send you an email or quickly link on your portfolio or quickly go to the link in LinkedIn. No QR codes for your portfolio. It needs to be a URL, yeah, and a clickable URL. That's super duper important. So these would be the top things on the top of your resume, your contact details. Okay, then move on to education and qualification details. Again, this really needs to be very, very simple. The name of the bachelor or the course that you're doing and the qualification date. Also, the name of the university and the state and the country. Again, I read so many resumes that just have the name of the university or the acronym of the university. You really need to spell that out. One, for the humans reading it, and two, for AI and the ATS reading it. AI and ATS are not as smart as we think they are. So please put everything in full out in full. So the example that I've got there, Bachelor of Arts in Urban Studies, May 2026, University of California, Berkeley, USA. And also, as I've said up the top there, it's not just education. Are there other qualifications that you've got? Did you do a short course in UX at General Assembly, for instance? Or did you do a course in Microsoft, 365 or an online course for AI? All of these details should be in there first. I think first your university or course, degree or qualification, then also list the other short courses that you've done. As a reader of this, it gives us a really good overview of your capabilities. Okay, then we go into work experience, and I'm going to divide this up with work that is relevant to apply for jobs and work that you're doing part-time. So this slide focuses on actual work experiences. And laying it out here, title, company, and dates is essential. So the example here, you've been a graphic designer as an intern with Reflex Group in New York City, and those are the dates that you were an intern with. That can all be on one line. The reason for that is that we're saving space for later on. Plus, also, it is important for us to read all of that information on one line. And I want to save the space on your resume to actually go into detail. And as I've said there, the detail for this needs to be in point form. I don't want to see huge sentences. I don't want paragraphs and paragraphs of what you've written. And again, we go back to why. Who's reading this? It could be AI, it could be ATS, or it could be me as a recruiter or hiring manager. It's really important to use keywords in here as well. You know, as I've said, they're designed static and moving social media assets for YSL and Ferrari. Already in that one line, I can see that the person is capable of doing, motion design and graphic design, social media assets, which goes across all different social media websites. And I'm also having a look at a couple of the clients that you've done that for, which gives me an indication that you are capable of doing this. Yeah. The second line, easy peasy, created EDMs for Maybelline. That's also key. That tells me creating EDMs, you are able to do different formats, and for different types of clients. These are all key words that AI is going to pick up, and also key words that I can read very, very quickly on somebody's resume. So, again, I don't want you to go into lengthy sentences. It does need to be in point form. As you can see there, there's 4 clear points. Once you start writing sentences, one, the HR manager or recruiter is not going to have time to actually read the sentences. And second of all, you've got those keywords in there for AI or for ATS. So let's go on, jump on to the next page. This is the work experience that I still would like you to put in that may not be job related, but it is still important for it to be on your resume. It showcases that you've worked with people before and that you've been responsible and that you've turned up on time. So the example here would be barista, the coffee company, August 2024 until present, taking orders and making coffee. Yeah. Front desk receptionist at the Starwood Group. Those are the dates. You were answering calls and communicating with hotel guests. As I said, this is still really important, but we don't need lots and lots of information for these jobs because they're not going to be directly relevant to the internships or the jobs that you are applying for. But it is very important for them to still be on there. Yeah. Volunteer experience, also super important. That may be really relevant to the role that you're going for. And again, the title, the company, and the dates all in one line. This will save you room later on to get to that 1 to 2 pages of your resume. So as I've written here, garden educator, Green Heart Project, March to September, taught children how to plant seeds, organically fertilize, water, compost, and generally maintain the garden bed. English tutor, just really simply gone through there and said what your experience was there. It doesn't need to be in point form. It doesn't need to be long, sentences, just the volunteer work that you have done. Now, if the volunteer, sorry, just go back one page. If the volunteer work was directly related to the internship that you want to get or the job that you want to get, then I would write that, as we have gone before, as work experience because it is directly related to what you want to do in the future. But most of the volunteer experiences don't necessarily match up with what you're wanting to do. Sorry, Ben. Yeah. Okay, skills. This is super important, and I see so many mistakes in this area. I think everybody does put their skills on there, but skills come in so many different forms, as I've written there. You've got the skills there for software, you've got skills for equipment, and then you've got skills is languages. I do prefer them to be split up. So skills for software example is the Adobe Photoshop, InDesign, After Effects, any software programs. Now, one point to mention here, especially for creatives, most creatives write under skills Adobe Creative Suite. Now, this is really, really, really important not to write that anymore because AI and ATS are not smart enough to know all the 22 programs that are listed under Adobe Creative Suite. So we really can't write that anymore. Plus, I think the last count I checked, Adobe Creative Suite had 22 different software programs underneath that title. I do not know anybody that can do all 22 of those proficiently. So you really need to spell them out, which is what I've got there. Adobe, and then Photoshop, InDesign, After Effects, Premiere Pro, and then you're going into different types of software that aren't from the Adobe Creative Suite. It's also important to put things like Asana or Trello, which are organizational project management software. Even if you can use Trello and Asana, if the companies are using something else, they will be able to say, oh, okay, you know, I can see that person can use Asana and travel, so they'll be able to use Slack or whatever it is. There's hundreds of those softwares, so that's okay. Also important to put in there Microsoft 365 or Google Workspace. I think we take all of that for granted at the moment that we can use it, but I think it should be listed in there. And again, the company that you're going for the opportunity for may use something else, but if they can see that you can use Microsoft or Google, then you'll be able to easily adapt to the software that they have in place. And just going into equipment, if you are a photographer or you work in engineering, sound engineering, you know, put those things in there, which cameras you use, which drone you use, if you use microphones or stands or anything else that may be relevant, listed under skills and equipment. And then also because Artbound is so international, I do see lots of languages written there. Um, Only list the languages that you can truly communicate in. Yeah, I'm sure the world in which we live in, we can write, you know, 5 different languages in which we speak. And that's great. That's fantastic. But are you going to be fluent in it or is it just conversational? Yeah. I don't want a whole list of languages there that you only speak a little bit because that will, you know, trip you up later on. They'll say, oh, you can speak Italian. Great, fantastic. We've got an Italian client here, would love you to speak with, and it could mess you up. So let's just be clear on the languages there. Okay, these are good examples. They're not, you're not going to be able to see every single detail that's on them, but I think from a glance, you can see here that they are all black and white. They do have elements of, you know, the work experience, the contact information, the skills, the education. How you actually lay this out on the page is up to you. But as you can see, everything is very, very clear and it's black and white. Yeah, this is super duper important because the next page shows you what not to do. You know, I don't want to see examples of colored. Have we got the next page, Ben? Yeah, there we go. Fantastic. These are not good examples if we take into consideration AI and ATS. And also for the person reading, very, very difficult to look at colored backgrounds. There's a lot of text on there. The middle one is beautiful. I'm the first person to say I absolutely love this, but it is a piece of art. I would not be able to click on any of those things in there, and AI and ATS will not be able to read that. Looks beautiful, but is
Trying
not going
really,
to work.
I'm trying really hard to understand
Yeah.
anything in the middle one, and I'm like, what is happening here? It's amazing. Yeah.
He's a really awesome art director and graphic designer and illustrator. And I think this could have worked 5 years ago, but it doesn't work anymore in the world in which we live in. Um, so yeah, look, also what I forgot to mention in the introduction, and a question that is asked quite a lot, how long for me as a recruiter does it take me to look at a CV? I'll give you my totally honest opinion. 5 seconds. I will look at at a resume for 5 seconds. If you understand that when I place a role, working with Aquent, when I place a role either on LinkedIn or on our website, I would get minimum 100 applications. That can go anywhere up to 250 applications. Now, if I took, and you can do the maths on this, if I took 30 seconds or 1 minute to read every single person's resume, I wouldn't have time to actually work on that job. So I'm only looking at a resume for 5 seconds to ascertain whether they should get into the top 10 or the top 20. Once the person gets into the top 10 or the top 20, I will then go back to the resume and go through in detail and read their information. But I can read a one-page resume in 3 to 4 seconds and know already if that person's going to make it to the top or not. That is why we need to use point form, clear words, and have those links in there. Those clickable links really need to be in there because that's where I'm going to find out more information. What does their portfolio look like? How are they on LinkedIn? You know, what do they talk about on LinkedIn? What do they look like? How do they present themselves on LinkedIn? They're all things that I'm taking into consideration, not just the resume. Okay, I'm sure you've got lots and lots of questions. I saw them popping up, so
And there's so many good
I'm
questions coming in.
happy to answer all of them.
I will take a short break for a quick
Okay.
explanation of our initiative, and then we'll go into all the questions. I was wondering before I dive into that, for those who may not know on the call, could you explain what an ATS is?
Yes, an ATS is an applicant tracking system. It is very similar to AI, and recruitment companies do use it. They probably used ATS more in the past, whereas we will be using more AI in the future. So, for example, if I had 250 applications for a job on LinkedIn, I could actually ask LinkedIn, okay, I want the top 20 people that have Photoshop, After Effects, that have done social media executions, EDMs, and have worked for automotive and fashion companies. AI will go through all of that and will give me the top 20. That's why I said earlier why it's so important to mention brand names and to mention exactly what you have done, like EDM, social media posts, and to list your software and software skills because those things are going to be picked up by AI. So it's super important.
Great. And one more question for me, Vanessa, before I dive to the
Yeah.
next thing. When we talked about skills, all what I saw there was equipment and hard skills. What about soft skills? I see a lot of resumes that say I'm a great communicator or I'm a good negotiator. You know, at this level, 8 out of 10 or a 7 out of 10, should people include
Yeah,
they include it?
soft skills. It's a tough one, and the thing for me, I don't look at soft skills because everyone can write that and everyone can think they're a great communicator and everything. I'm going to be able to ascertain their soft skills from the roles that they have worked in, and that's why the barista and the travel agent or those things that you have done part-time jobs, that gives me an indication of your soft skills.
Yeah.
Not you writing, I am a good communicator, I am a good writer. I will know by the jobs that you have had in the past or your experience if you do actually have those soft skills.
Yeah, and that's why those related experiences are so important and getting even some small
Correct.
experiences. Even if you have nothing to say, I was a babysitter, for example, right? Like if you have nothing working for like a retail shop or something, it's still, managing timelines, having responsibilities, having a boss, like dealing with something.
Absolutely, getting somewhere on time, communicating with people. Those are the soft skills that I ascertain from the experience that you've had. The volunteer experience, still, that gives me an indication that you can communicate well and that you're organized and that you're dedicated. They're all soft skills which, as a experienced recruiter and the HR managers will be able to pick up.
Great. Great. Thank
Great
you.
question, though. Great
Those were my
question.
questions. I'll get to everybody. Since I'm moderating, I get to ask my questions first.
Okay.
I'm kidding. I'll get to everybody else's questions in just a moment,
Okay.
but let me take a short break to talk about Outbound Initiative and who we are. I see there are some current participants and past participants here, and some people who've been through previous sessions. So if you've been to my previous sessions this week, please take a water break, enjoy yourself. For everybody else, I'm going to talk briefly just for 10 minutes about ABI. So we're a global career accelerator for creatives. Our role and our goal is to help university students and recent graduates to bridge that gap between what you're learning within school and then really getting that kick-started into your careers with an internship placement. So we are an internship placement program, but we're so much more than that. We also are professional development, networking, support, and really helping with travel on visas and other things, almost like travel agency too. Um, we are like an extra course that you'll take outside of your university. So we are a program that you'll pay for uh, outside of your university, but offers much more value in practical implementation. And we're a small program. We have really dedicated hands-on support for each of our participants. I think that we want to make sure all of our participants coming through feel really supported all the way throughout. Who's the program for? Just a few like teasers to see maybe this program's for me, maybe it's not for me, but just some ideas of who, it might be a good fit for you if you fall into one of these categories. If you're a student or a recent graduate looking to get started in the creative industries and you want to, get your foot in the door. If you're looking to do an internship internationally, that can be particularly challenging to find companies that are willing to take you on internationally and understand the visa laws and other things like that. International students, if you're in the US on an F1, if you're in the UK on a tier 4, or if you're in Australia on a 485 visa, those are people that we can help with during your post studies. Or if you're looking to do an internship for academic credit and you say, I really have to have something lined up for my degree this spring or fall or summer, and it has to be related to my degree, and I got to have it to graduate, well, then we'd be a good program for you because we guarantee internship placements. Destinations that we do internships in: New York, Chicago, LA, Miami, and Austin in the US. So much to choose from in the US. That's our largest program. London, if you want to go to the UK, Berlin, if you want to go to Australia, Melbourne or Sydney, or if you don't have the ability, finances, or desire to travel, you can do a virtual internship. Totally fine. You're going to get a great experience out of it, and you'll still get all the program benefits. A few program inclusions, and I'm going to go through them in detail. But anytime that you're paying for a course or you're paying for a university, you should get everything you can possibly get out of it. And I always tell this for university students too, like milk it for what it's worth, get everything out of it. And so you should know everything that goes out of the program if you decide to join. So number one, you have the ABI Academy. This is a prep course that happens before the internship itself and is to help you prepare your profile and your skills ready for both the recruitment process and the internship itself. So in module one, we'll work with you on your resume, your portfolio, your interview skills, and prepping for the recruitment process. You'll have coaching from people like Vanessa. You'll get resume coaching, portfolio coaching, interview coaching, and then we start reaching out to all of our partner employers to get you placed. And in the meantime, you'll work on prepping for the internship and learning from more coaches in the industry and from our content and making sure that you're not just getting an offer, but you're successful in the job itself and that you can build a network and potential opportunities out of it. This is a combination of live coaching sessions that are done online, content that you'll watch online, and then some submissions that you need, like your final resume submission and your final portfolio submission. So it's built for full-time students. It's mostly flexible in terms of timeline and times that you choose, but there are some scheduled sessions online, and it requires about 3 to 4 hours of time per week. So it's really built for full-time students. Some of our coaches, Justin is, working for Warner Bros. Jen for MTV Paramount. Kevin is creative director with Omnicom Group, and Michael is a designer with Ralph Lauren if you're in fashion. Shonda is the founder and CEO of Salt and Light Agency if you're doing advertising or branding. And then Jazz is the director of global social media marketing at Shutterstock. And of course, Vanessa, who's here today, is one of our coaches in the program as well. This is just some of our coaches in the program. We have others as well, depending on the industry that you're getting into. But just want to show you kind of the level of expertise of people that you'll be learning from and people that could potentially become your mentors as well. Number two, what you get out of the program is a guaranteed internship placement. So, we have internship placements ranging from 3 to 6 months in duration. They could be part-time or full-time. They could be for credit or experience, and we can't guarantee that they will be a paid opportunity. That's something to be aware of. While we can guarantee an internship placement, finding paid opportunities or unpaid opportunities is a challenge that you'll face, whether you come through us or you go individually. We're a small program. We try to influence this, but we don't have total control over this. So we just want to be as transparent as possible from the beginning. How do we guarantee an internship placement? Well, we don't actually control the hiring process of our partner companies. So we can't say, hey, you know what, you're going to go to company A or you're going to go to company B. And we also don't have a financial relationship with our company partners. We're not influencing it financially. What are we doing? We just have a relationship that we've built with those company partners over time, looking for people that are looking for relevant profiles and have had interns in the past and are vetted companies. And then our job is to make your profile as strong as possible so that it stands on its own merit. And that's what the ABI Academy is all about. At the end of the day, these companies are going to hire and interview and choose the people that are right fit for them. So we want to make sure that your profile really stands out. We'll share your profile with all of our company partners in your destination and your internship types of choice. And then as you interview, we'll get feedback. We'll incorporate that feedback and continue to do that process until you get placed. This process works really, really well. Last year, we had 250 participants go through the program, and we had a 100% placement success rate, which means placing everybody within their fields and destinations. This is something that you can count on. And if we can't get an internship offer for you within the time and deadline that we've outlined in the strategy we've outlined together, you'll have a full program refund. So we do guarantee it in that way. Internship types that we work within, just so you can see all the types. So if you're coming for entertainment and media, we have things in production, post-production, VFX, and music. Within design, graphic design, branding, motion, web, UI, UX, marketing and advertising, things that you can do in marketing, advertising, PR, communications, project management, fine arts, you could work for an artist or a studio or an institution or a gallery. And then fashion, on the business side, you could work in marketing or wholesale or PR or editorial. So how we work is that we'll pick a few internship types that are your top choices and a couple that are your backups, and we'll go for your top choices first in that placement process. Item number three that you get, I already talked about the guaranteed internship placement and the ABI Academy, but you get support from our team. So we're going to be helping you with the onboarding process, with your resume and portfolio prep and refinement with the recruitment preparation. Then our team is going to help you with the visa preparation application if you're going internationally. So we handle the application for you. We have housing partners that we work with for third-party provider housing, depending on where you want to go. Insurance arrangements for international participants, and then the placement with the partner companies. Most importantly is we're getting you placed with a company. And then once you land in city, we have an in-city coordinator that will be doing orientation, events for our participants and alumni, and then they're there for emergency contact as well. So you have full support throughout the program and your internship to make sure that things are going successfully. And as I mentioned, we're a small team, we're a small program, so you can email us at any time throughout the program and say, hey, I need to hop on a video call, I need to troubleshoot something. We're always there to help support. Number four that you receive is access to our creative community. So networking is so important as a creative and building a network to start your creative career. But this is something that can be a bit challenging. It can take time, and we want to help you try, speed this up. You're going to do it no matter what, but we want to make sure that there's a shortcut. Just like your school probably has an amazing alumni network, we have a great alumni network. Over 1,000 people have been through the program. And some of those people are like 8 years, 5 years, 3 years, 2 years your senior. You need to think like, hey, you know what? Where are people now that they've been through the program a few years ago? And how can I utilize them to my advantage for advice or for support or just for like connections? And potentially for jobs if that connection works out well, right? So finding, you don't need to connect with 1,000 people, but we're 10 people here in this network that you can find who work at a company or a destination or a job title that you really admire that you can ask for advice. We also do events in city for all of our participants and alumni, and workshops and other types of things. So we do have program tuition. As I mentioned, we're like a course outside of your university. So if you're doing our program within your same country, or virtually, it would be 2,250. Or if you're going internationally, it's 3,250. And that includes the four components I mentioned. So guaranteed internship placement, access to our academy, the creative network, and then dedicated support. It does not include visas, flights, housing, insurance, things that are third party and dependent on where you're going. So that's just something to keep in mind. But it does include the main components of our program. We also have a grant. So this is between $500 up to the full program fee for financial needs-based students, for our local and virtual programs in Australia, UK, or US. So if you think that you may be eligible, you can read about it on our grants and scholarships page, and then you can find out more information and apply during the application process. Okay, next step and last before I kind of stop rambling here, how to apply. We have an upcoming application deadline coming up on December 10th. So if you're thinking about doing something next summer, either locally or internationally or virtually, now is the time to apply. We need time to prepare your profile. We need time to get an offer for you. Our early applicants are getting usually more offers and opportunities. And we work on a rolling admissions basis. So go ahead and apply if you're thinking about this. Few steps to do. Number one is the application form. I'm going to show you really briefly how that works. So you go to our apply page on our website, which I'll put in the chat. Which I'll put in the chat. And on this, you'll see a few things that you need. A resume, what we're talking about today, your portfolio, a couple of academic references, and a personal essay. Please don't write it with GPT. Just write about yourself. We want to get to know you. For your resume, I see so many. For your resume, we're talking about perfectly formatted resumes here in this call, and you're definitely going to need that when you apply for internships and for jobs. But for us, we want to see your work experience. We want to see what you've done. Don't worry if the format is not perfect when you're applying for us, because that's part of what our program is about making it better. Same thing for your portfolio. I want to see your work, but it doesn't have to be perfectly formatted. Just share with me what you have so far so I can see if your skill sets are there for us to be able to get you into an internship. You start your application, you fill out all the information. Anything to do with the internship, don't worry if you don't know yet where you want to go or the details. Plug what you think is the best fit for now, and we're going to talk about it in the interview. As a next step, you'll have an interview with our team to discuss all the strategy, where you're going, where you're eligible for, what you want to do, when you want to do it. And then lastly, we'll share with you a result via email, whether or not you've been accepted. And then you can make a decision, do you want to join? Everything from the application form to the interview to the result doesn't cost anything. So if you're thinking about, should I do the program? Should I not do the program? I'd recommend just to go ahead and apply. And then later, when you get that decision, you can make a choice. Do I want to move forward, or is this something I want to defer until later, or is this something I choose not to do? So that's overall the program. We do have a few upcoming events as well, which you can find on our events page on our website, and I'll let you navigate to that yourself. For now, what I'm going to put here is the application link again. And yeah, that's it right there. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing screen here. Thanks all for taking the time out for that. And let's get to the questions. We can get to questions for Vanessa, but if you have any questions about the program as well, please feel free to chat it and I'll try to answer you in the chat or live. So Vanessa, I'm just going to start from the top here. Can I include an internship that I took in high school on my resume?
Yes, definitely. If that is relevant to the role that you're applying for, then yes, absolutely include that in there, and then lay it out so that we can see the dates and what you did there. Yeah, I think that's awesome. Any experience at this point of your career is super important to include. So yeah.
Perfect. Jessica asked if I have work experience and volunteer experience, and some of that work experience is relevant to the role and some not, and some of the volunteer experience is relevant to the role and some not. In what order should I put that in?
Uh, Relevant, that's great. Great question. Relevant volunteer experience should be listed at the top of volunteer experience and then going down to what is not so relevant. But again, at this stage in your career, include everything because as I said, those soft skills will come out in that experience without writing that you've got those soft skills. That will become evident to the person reading it.
Okay,
Yeah,
so they should separate work experience and volunteer experience in two categories, and then
yeah.
put the most relevant things at the top of the volunteer experience and the most relevant work experience at the top. Does it matter if that mixes up the dates and the chronology of the experience that they've had?
Um, Yeah, actually thinking, backtracking and thinking, I think it is better to have that in chronological order. So the latest one first going down. As I said, we can read through them very, very quickly. So I will be able to ascertain anybody who's used to reading CVs, resumes will do it very quickly. And also if you think about ATS or AI reading it, they're not looking at dates. They're just looking at keywords and experiences. So
Got it.
listed all there.
Okay, perfect. So just expand a little bit more on relevant experience and keep the unrelevant experience a little shorter and tighter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, great. Awesome. Thank you.
Great
Can
question.
can I attach a colored artist profile along with my black and white resume?
No, I wouldn't do that. If you are a designer and creative and you want to showcase your work, that should all be in your website and on the link to that. Really, really keep the resume black and white, easy to read, keywords. The link to your portfolio is where you stand out creatively.
Perfect. Um, what if I don't have any work experience relevant to the role or unrelated experience? Oh, only unrelated experience. How should I include that? Should I include everything?
Yeah, still put the unrelated experience there, going back to either volunteer or other work experience as a barista or a language teacher or whatever it may be. They're still really important.
Probably even more important at that point, right? If there's
At
no
that
relation.
point, yeah, exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Should we write a profile on our resume defining who we are?
I don't think so at this stage. And again, you have LinkedIn to do that. You will have the link to your LinkedIn. I think that's where that should be, should have the profile introduction to yourself. There's specifically room for that on LinkedIn. So yeah, for picking up keywords and to get to that interview stage or to get to that, top 10, top 20 at this point of your career, no, I don't think it's essential.
Cool. Are you familiar with VMock as an AI resume reviewer and how well, if so, how well do you feel it works?
I'm not familiar with it. There's so many out there that it's crazy. So look, AI is really picking up words that can't be intelligent. It can't think. AI can't think for itself. As I gave in the description before, if I'm looking for a graphic designer with Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, After Effects, Figma, it can't think, oh, well, this person uses something else, so I'm sure they could be good. No, it's very black and white with AI and what we ask for it. But still list all those software programs. And I think that's a question that came up later on, and I'll answer it now. I think somebody wrote, can I put in the names of all the AI programs that I use? Yes, you should, because there are so many different 3D and AI programs. List them under your skills because it's super important. It will be picked up by AI and it will be picked up by the hiring manager and the recruiter reading your resume.
Great. If the resume should be black and white, what about a professional headshot?
No, that's for LinkedIn. And again, you'll have your LinkedIn profile. If you really want to see what we look like, we're going to click on LinkedIn real quickly to see that. But again, past 5 or 10 years, I would have said yes, put that on there, but not now. Yeah, LinkedIn is for the visuals and for your profile description and a nice professional photo of you.
Perfect. Should we base the inclusion of soft skills on what the job asks for?
No. Again, that will come out in the experience that you've got. Um, yeah, and it will come out at interview time, those soft skills. So, no.
Perfect. I heard that resumes should be tailored to each job description. Is this always the case or not necessary?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of this because you are who you are at the moment. And also, if you really think about it at this phase of your career, if you're applying for twenty different roles, do you really want to do 20 different resumes? No. I would keep to one, keep it standard, and keep everything on there. I wouldn't tailor it at all.
Great. Um, does AI look at soft skills too? I think you've answered no soft skills, but does AI look at soft skills too?
Um, if I was asking it to look for soft skills, but I'm not asking AI to look for soft skills, I'm looking for those hard skills.
Yeah, so it depends
And
on
and
what
and
unit.
how is AI going to know those soft skills for you anyway? Yeah, no, no.
Okay. Cool. Do we need to include, oh, you already answered this one. AI software is on the resume. Okay, great. Um, how does one make up for a lack of experience in a resume? I have 2 years of volunteer experience and I'm a recent graduate.
Yeah, well then the volunteer experience we really need to know about. And also if you are a recent graduate, then where you graduated from and what you actually studied will be on there under your qualifications. So that's enough for us to know what you have done and if it's relevant applying for the internship or the role that you're applying for. So yeah, put all that volunteer experience there. Make sure that you have the qualifications of where you've graduated and what you've graduated with. That all goes into ascertaining if you're the right person for the role.
Yeah, and I'd also say like don't stick your nose up at any job. I mean, I think that in the
Yeah.
beginning stages of your career, it might take you a year to find something that's specifically relevant to what you want to do, but
Hmm.
in the meantime, working that coffee shop job or doing, little, small jobs for people is really helpful, for your resume. I personally started my career washing dishes and bussing tables and worked my way into management, and I think that
Yeah,
you can do it. It just depends on like where you start and getting traction and moving your career forward is more important than anything.
yeah.
Uh, you do have some experience on there. Yeah.
Yeah, I also agree. I started my career working in McDonald's part-time. That is an excellent training program. I can, count money, I can serve people, I need to be there on time. You working with other people. We touched on this before. It's super important at this stage of your career.
And also, you may, in your part of your career, want to jump 10 steps further than you are. And that can be very anxiety inducing when you're like, God, I just want to be to point X, but everybody has to go through it, right? So, you know,
Exactly. And
yeah,
and putting all this information on there now, that doesn't mean it's going to last there forever. After a year, then you've had a little bit of experience, you can take that barista job off, or you can take that McDonald's job off and put more on there. This is not the be all and the end all, and you can only make one and it's never going to change. It is, but it's changeable in the future.
great. Um, how much is someone's major taken into account when deciding if they would be a good fit for a certain job?
Oh, that's a really good question. I can only talk about from my experience as a hiring manager and recruiter. I think having that graduation and course is a fantastic foundation. I know that you have gone through that process and through the foundation and through that learning. But what is really going to showcase it for me is the experience that you've had, whether it's relevant or not relevant, it's still the experience that you've had, and also what your portfolio looks like.
Yeah.
And there's so many different things that go in there. Like the resume is not going to be the one and only thing that gets you across the line. It is going to be the resume, it is going to be the LinkedIn, it is going to be your portfolio. So don't rely on just one of these things to get you to that next point. There are a few things that are going to be used. The resume is just one.
Yeah, so good. And I can imagine that it also depends on the level, that they're at. If they're recent graduates, the degree is going to matter more. Whereas if you're 10 years in the industry, like start
Yeah.
to, you don't look at the degree very much anymore. It's just like, what have you done
And
recently?
and look, I've had people that have done a degree in architectural design, and now they're a UX or UI designer, but I've taken their experience into consideration, and that they're really detail orientated if they've been an architect. So there's so many things we take into consideration.
Perfect. Do recruiters actually check and verify with the company we worked at that we include in the resume? Like, for example, did we actually do those projects? Yeah,
No,
question.
we don't. But if you do say in your resume, I've done these projects, then and I did this and I did that, then I should be able to click onto your portfolio and see those projects. If you say I've done this and I've done that and I've done this, and you've got a folio link and you're not showing anything in that folio linking back to what you said, then I'm going to say, yeah, okay, did you do them or didn't you do them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think for myself, when I'm hiring people, one of the things, that I utilize is like, how well can you talk about that specific thing? If you can talk about it clearly and the process that was involved and the challenges you came across, you probably did it. If you're kind of glancing over it, like maybe you didn't have a very deep involvement in that specific project. Yeah.
Yeah. But also on reference, I think that part of that question was, do we contact the reference people that are on your CV? I
Yeah.
have to say, do not put references, names, or contact numbers or on your resume at this stage. This will all come much later when you have gone through the interview process. If you are a candidate that's going to go through, then they will ask for it at that point. There's no need for it to be on your resume.
Great. I read that projects could be included in place of work experience on resumes for creative fields. Is that correct?
That can be the case, yes. But again, if you've worked on those projects and they're creative, then I would want to see them in the portfolio. But yes, projects that you have worked on can come under experience if there really isn't anything else to put on the resume.
Yeah. Cool. I'm a sophomore student without any working experiences. Sorry, Emily, I'm skipping your question because we answered it. I'm a sophomore student without any working experiences. Should I just keep the resume short and neat for what I can do right now for finding internships?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Keep it short and sweet. And once you've put all the information on there, once you've actually put your contact details, where you've studied, what you studied, the skills that that's already made up or over half a page. I would rather have the correct information than just filler
Yeah.
information. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we understand that, if you haven't had that much experience, you're not going to be able to find it. That's why you want these opportunities to get more experience. So
Yeah,
we
especially
understand
for
that.
internships. Yeah. But also, I'd also recommend to find other types of leadership types of experiences within your school. Can you find, an organization or a club that you can be a leader or a member of? This is great experience that you can put on your resume that
Yeah.
shows leadership skill,
Yeah.
and free for you to do, right? So do
Yeah.
it.
Or,
Cool.
for example, I've had graduates that have worked for their local football club or their netball club or the swimming club, and they've done all their social media assets for them if they're creative, or they've managed it if it managed the process if they're from the management part. There's so many things which you could go and volunteer for and actually put that on there as experience.
Great. Do we have to name each software in Microsoft 365 or Google Apps like with Adobe?
No,
Perfect.
no.
Um, why does it have to be black and white?
We spoke about that. AI can't actually read color, and it distracts it for the processes that we're using. It just distracts it. I don't know which AI program they're going to use, and we spoke about that. There's so many out there. Some can read color or see images, some can't. So let's better be safe than sorry. Pure black and white.
Great. Perfect. How well does open to work on LinkedIn work?
Oh, that's a whole different session on LinkedIn. But yes, it is good to have open for work. I personally think it's good to have open for work on LinkedIn, but a whole different session on
Got it.
LinkedIn.
Cool. We won't get into all the details in this
Yeah.
session then. Um, Great. I'm just looking to see, are there, let's see, there's a lot of good questions. I was looking to see with 2 minutes left. Um, are
I
there
have
any web
time if we go over, so yeah.
Great. Yeah, I mean, I can stay for another 5 minutes after too if others want to stay. But are there any websites or resources we can look at to make sure that we're including the right keywords depending on the position for the AI to screen? Um,
I mean, yeah, a good place to look is LinkedIn job sites or any other job sites. You will see how the clients are asking for a graphic designer or a media manager or whatever it is. You will see those keywords that they're using to get people to apply. So have a look at job sites, see how they're saying we're looking for somebody who has this, and these skills, and transfer them to what's on your resume. Yeah.
Great. Before we continue forward, I think we have a little time to go through the rest of the questions here. But I'm just going to put a couple things in the chat here. So number one is please connect with us on LinkedIn. Send us friend requests, like not a friend request, send us a connection request. That's Facebook. Shoot us a message. Like for sure, I'm happy to answer any questions that come through to me. So if you have any questions, send me a message on LinkedIn. And then December 10th application deadline, of course, if you're thinking of doing anything next year, please apply to us at outboundinitiative.com. You can also check if you're eligible for the program on our homepage. There's a short eligibility form that you'll see. Just fill that out and you'll get to a call with our team to figure out more information if you're still kind of like considering, but you want to have another chat first. That's it from my side. I'm going to go through the rest of the questions here because there's just a few. So for those of you that want to stay, great. For those of you that have to jump off, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. This was great to have you in the session. Um, okay, so let me continue to the next question then. Does the program used to make the resume matter as long as it ends up in a PDF? Like, could I use InDesign or Word?
Yeah, absolutely. As long as it is going to be, those links are clickable. That's just so important. The URLs, your email address, everything has to be clickable. I'm also a huge fan of Canva. Canva has hundreds of resume templates, and the three that I showed that I liked, the black and white ones, were all from Canva. So go crazy. Canva is free.
Yeah, perfect. I love a tool also called resume.io where you just plug in the information and it formats it for you.
Yes,
And
so
that one
good.
It's great, and it's like $1 to download your resume afterwards. They charge you at the end. But this one
Fantastic.
is fantastic. Um,
Yeah.
are and and I think on the clickable links, I can't tell you how many times I get resumes and it's like the
Oh,
link isn't clickable, or it's still in the PDF, but it's still like a movable little like text box that you can move around. Just like download your resume and then click on it. Remember that PDFs and things, those little boxes of text, they're still movable after you send it. Export it as a new PDF if you're going to do that. Like click on the links, make sure they work, make sure things
yeah,
don't move around. That shows like a lack of detail and attention and will kind of get you nixed right away for that job position. Yeah.
absolutely.
Are the keywords just the things mentioned in the job description, like proficient in motion graphics, where the keyword is motion graphics, or is it like other things that are on the resume?
Mm, it's taking into account all the other things, but motion is really important, or static, or actually, what I see is a lot of people saying, oh, I did all the stuff, or I did all the creative. Yeah, I want to, was it posters? Was it websites? Was it outdoor campaign? Was social media asset? Be specific for the person reading it and also for AI and ATS. Yeah.
Great. Yeah. And I mean, also just download the job description
Yeah.
and your resume and put them both into ChatGPT or something like that and be like, hey, does
As
my resume?
long as you can actually do everything. This is why I'm not a big fan of AI and Chat GPT. And I think another question is going to come up later about cover letters. Um, you can't just take a job description and make it into a CV or a resume, because are you actually capable of doing that? And if
Yeah.
you do that, we are going to see it. If a resume looks exactly like the things that I've written in a job ad, I know that it's been done like that, and we know that as human, or I know that as a human recruiter and hiring manager. I'm just going to go to the next person that is more sincere.
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of essays that are like, I'm really excited to apply to Earthbound Initiative. And I'm like,
Yeah.
did you read the essay after you copy and paste it? Or it still has the prompt, like one way that you can
Yeah.
answer the question is just read it once before you hit send,
Yeah.
just read it once, like you'll catch it.
Yeah.
For sure. Don't send us. So those are like immediate blockers.
Immediate. No. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Can our logo be in color? I don't think you need a logo on a resume. I'll let you answer that. Yeah.
Again, if you have a logo, then put that on your website or LinkedIn. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, what I meant with the soft skills and AI question was, do recruiters use soft skills as keywords when inputting? Like, are you saying like,
No,
oh, I'm looking,
I don't. No, I don't look for soft skill. I don't use soft skill keywords when I'm looking for something. No, it's all hard skills.
perfect. I'm a graduate. What if I have worked in hospitality and F&B service for 10 years, but looking to shift careers into marketing and advertising, which is what I actually studied and I'm passionate about? Should I include a short profile summary at the top since I'm switching careers?
Yes, a short summary would be good if you feel you need that. But as we've said throughout the whole presentation, even working in F&B for 10 years and what you did and who you work for is going to bring those soft skills to the table, and then add on to that your graduation and qualification, then that makes you a great candidate. So
Yeah, and one thing I would add on top of this is, that was my background as well. I worked in hospitality and then I moved into management for different types of companies. So it's a totally great background to have and brings a lot of skill sets for you.
yeah.
But don't expect necessarily to be like, okay, I'm a manager at this restaurant. Now I'm going to be a manager in advertising. Um,
Hmm.
you need to build a connection to that. Sometimes that build is a drop down in level where you're like, okay, I'll start again as a junior, but I'll work my way up quickly because I've had this experience. Or sometimes it can be finding like a couple of hops in between. So maybe
Mm,
work for an events management company that does things within branding and advertising space, but you come from hospitality events management and you're able to bridge that. Then the next step is going to be more like account management and advertising, like figure out a couple of steps in between as opposed to just trying to take a giant leap between industries. Yeah.
mm. But also, just to a side note, no, don't spend too much time on the CV, on the resume, writing that link because then AI is going to pick up the wrong words. It's going
Hmm.
to pick up F&B, it's going to pick up service, it's going to pick up, things that you've written there. You want it to pick up the course that you've done or that it's creative, just so it's a tricky one, but just be careful with it.
Yeah, sounds good. Do university class assignments count as projects? I think we've talked about this, but for
Yeah.
example, I made an animation for a class last semester that I included in my draft of my resume. Is that okay?
It is okay if there really is nothing else to write about, but I would prefer to have the other experience written on there if you have it. But as one participant in this said, if I really haven't got anything else, can I put that in there? Yes.
Great. If we go to the references stage, are there usually time frame based? Like, should it be within the last 5 years or should it be relevancy
Yeah.
based?
The
Yeah,
reference, just no references on there at this stage anyway. Let's get to the point where you're actually speaking to somebody and having an interview. The resume is really all that prior work, so don't worry about that at this stage.
I think what Liv is asking here, though, is for later, once they get to the reference stage, should those be recent references and should they be relevant to the
The
specific job?
the recruiter and the hiring manager will discuss that at that stage with you. If you haven't had the experience, but you worked at McDonald's, then they may say, yeah, okay, I will speak to your manager at McDonald's, or they may, find something else. But again, that's to be discussed. You're worrying too much about something in the future. Let's worry about getting the resume right, getting the interview, and then everything else we can will be talked along the line. Yeah.
Perfect. And then last question here, and then we'll cap it off here. Um, I think question here is about cover letters. So do you recommend using cover letters? And does AI also screen for cover letters when submitting in an application?
I'm going to give you the feedback as a personal one because I know a lot of opportunities do ask for a cover letter. I don't like cover letters because I know that 99.9% of the time they're going to be written by AI and Chat GPT, so I don't ask for cover letters anymore. I really want to see the skills on the resume. I want to see the skills in LinkedIn. Otherwise, you have just asked for that to be made up. So, I think in this, again, in that with the glasses of AI and ATS, make the cover letter as short as possible, use key words for what the role is asking for. But, if AI is going to scan the cover letter, it's always going to scan the resume as well. So I think it's more important what is on the resume rather than what is on the cover letter. But me personally, I do not ask for cover letters because I know it's not going to be written by the person anymore.
Perfect. Well, that's it. We got through every single question. Thanks for spending an
Okay,
extra
great.
minute. That's everybody on the call. And thank you as well, Vanessa, for doing this session. It's always great to do a session with you. This was so helpful. I learned a lot in this session too. I was like taking notes. But thank
Well,
you.
everything's changing. We need to have
Yeah,
these sessions, almost like every year because every year
yeah,
something changes.
something's different. I know something's
So,
different and updating, especially now.
yeah.
So thank you everybody for joining. Thanks, Vanessa. I really appreciate
And
it.
thank you for all the thank yous everybody's sending through.
Yeah,
They look great. Yeah.
connect with us on LinkedIn and apply to the program. All right.
Bye.